On.
What's up, guys? It's Wacko. Welcome you to season 6, Sacred Dwarf Swine Powywinkies. Um, I'm joined by Not Wacko. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Rage.
You guess. Well, yeah, I guess he guesses that he's Rage. So,
I said, hey guys, I'm Rage. No,
oh,
not I guess I'm
I thought you
Rage.
said I guess I'm Rage. Okay, well, fun start to this. We have season 6 already, which I think will be the last season before the DLC comes out. So this season, instead of banning 8 million Pokemons instead of banning 8 million Pokemon, we unbanned a lot, aka Shaman Sky Megalodios, and that's like kind of it. So everyone's team is really good. And yeah, I just wanted to say that before we start because even if you see yourself in last, there is not really a single bad team drafted. It's just that whoever's is better is on top. And these were, I think, some of the hardest teams to rank.
Yeah, I can agree. Yeah, like in general, the teams that were ranked lower were the ones that have more problems than others. But every team has mons that we are just not looking forward to playing and dealing with.
Every team
So
is really good. So just to get that out there, um, let me change the scene. Hopefully I chose the right one. Yay. So at number 16, we have I don't know what their team name is, but it's gonna be, I think, Sexy Xe.
correct.
I just know that their abbreviation is SDS. Oh, is it like the Sexy Sizzlepedes or something, or Sexy
Uh,
Salazzles? I think.
yeah, 60 levels.
I think Sexy Sizzlepedes is like Marshy's team name. I don't know why I'd remember that. But anyways, we have the Terra, Annihilate, Ursaluna, Megazard X, Ferrothorn, Samurott Hisui, uh, Gita's Wig, Hatterene, I almost said Clitoris, Silvally, Regieleki, Terragogo, and Articuno Galar. So, starting off with this team, the reason why it's ranked number 16 is there's a giant speed gap between 200 and 100. This team is really fucking slow. But the one thing I will say though is that Charizard is an amazing Dragon Dancer, and there's also a lot of really good Scarfs. And if your opponent isn't prepping for like Regieleki, and if they assume that Zard is just gonna DD, so they're not really gonna prep for its speed tier, Ursaluna can outspeed pretty much anything with Trailblaze. If that makes sense. Like if you're gonna speed creep Silvally, then Ursaluna can outrun that. So teams have to be careful about that shit. Another reason why this team kind of isn't the greatest is because the removal for Zard X team is Silvally and Regieleki, and I guess Magic Bounce. And other than that, it's most of the time gonna be the opponent trying to defog away Ferrothorn,
There's also
Samurott,
Gamora.
and Glamora. Oh yeah, Glamora does get Mortal Spin, but that move kind of sucks, and it's if you're inviting in Steel types anyways, then well, good luck trying to Mortal Spin.
Yeah. So I had this team ranked a little higher. I had 14. The reason why is because I feel like this team is this team is a great accumulation of parts, but the sum of its parts is much lower. Just because, as you said, there was a million issues with this team, the massive speed issue and the relative lack of removal being chief among them. Honestly, I feel like this team, as I told you before we started recording, would shoot up practically immediately if he just traded like two trades and got two faster things, and like it would just be better as a result of that. Like maybe get like a slightly better defogger on like a base 110 mon. Like that's literally all this team actually needs. But in general, this team also has a huge weakness to fighting and ground. And with ground time basically being forced to come because his only speed is Reggie, you're gonna have a lot of issues with that. Terra Annihilate is ridiculous, so he will win a few games almost purely off of that, and he also has the possible benefit of Trick Room because of Hatternay being a thing. So that's a possible benefit here because of Trick Room, Hatternay, and Ursaluna, or just Hatternay itself. But in general, this team is a lot of issues that would probably need resolving for either of us to put it particularly high.
It does have, I think, one of the best, probably the best or the second best Terra, but
One of them,
the other
yeah.
issues just kind of push it down a little bit.
Yeah, I do really like the top four. I feel like everything else could have been better.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's looking at my screen or if he's looking at the doc, but it's the top four in the way I have it. I just kind of ordered things by point order, so it doesn't look as wonky seeing like Ursaluna in the Articuno slot. So people can see it from left to right, because that's how you read. But I know that a lot of people here don't know how to read. So moving on to 15. We have Joey at 15. We have Joey at 15. English is my favorite language. So, what do you want to say about this team? Because you like this team a lot more than I do.
Offensively, I think this team is really good. I think the speed with Specturier and Terra Zero Aura is really solid. I think Mega Gardevoir is a little underwhelming, but it's a pretty good breaker. And I love me some Haxorus. Those four on their own make up a good offensive core, and the slow pivots of Corviknight and Swampert help to get them in. The issues with this team, as you will very likely go over, though, are pretty strong. There's no toxic spikes or spiker. There is only one remover, and it's Corviknight. The fighting type on a Specturier team is Machamp, and in general, this team will struggle a lot with toxic and things of that nature as well. It's like gonna rely on a non-Terra Garg to do a lot of that, and non-Terra Garg is just frankly not very good.
Yeah, I do know that he wanted to Terra Garg, but he just didn't have the points for it. I assumed in Grace that he would drop like Shaman for like, I don't know, for the points to Terra Garg and like something else, but that just didn't happen.
I should probably mention, this is one of the few rankings that me and Waka actually agree on. I have him 15 as well.
You do have him 15, but you do like his team a lot more than me.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
So, I don't know. I was going to say something else about this team, but I don't know. It's not horrible. I just wish it was not this. And I also wish that there was a grounded poison and a dark type. Because,
honestly,
the dark resist is Machamp.
Honestly, I might want to ping him about this, but how would you feel about this team if you replaced Gargantuanol for like
A
Mugwort
Pokemon?
or something like that?
For what?
If you replace Garg for like a Alolan Muck.
Oh,
like,
Alolan Muck would be great.
I feel like that would actually fix a lot of problems on this team. Like,
Alolan Muck would fix a lot of his issues, because his Spadef wall currently is Mega Guard, and it would give him the poison and the dark typing. The fire type is like not that big of an issue.
Honestly,
but I do like Muck a lot.
Honestly, I may tell him to do that after we're done with this, and maybe tell him to get like,
because Muck I think is really cheap, and no one picked it up. You could also upgrade the champ into like anything else.
If he can get like Hitmonlee or something like that. So it's like a rapid spinner as well as being like a
Yeah,
good Umberto
that would be a
sweeper. That
lot
would be good.
better. I mean, he could
That would be
also
pretty
like
good.
downgrade Shaman as well, so that he could just make Machamp like Galarian Zapdos as like his fighting. Because
Yeah,
you do want a
no,
good fighting,
that
but I
actually sounds
assume
good.
he's probably gonna tear Fighting Zera.
Yeah, he could also downgrade Shaman to get like Serena or Decidueye or something like that, and so he can get a second remover that
Yeah,
way.
Hisuian Decidueye.
Honestly, you said that out of turn, but that doesn't look bad.
No, exactly. So yeah, not a bad team, but it could be better. I like it has all the Pokemon on it are good. It's just something needs to change.
Agreed.
So moving on to a really weird team, we have Zorfis and I think Sentinels. I don't know.
The Snow Point
Snow Point
Sentinels.
Sentinels. So we have Shaman Sky, Volcanion, Terra, Jirachi, Feeny, Thundy T, Mega Beedrill, that core making an appearance again. Let's go. Crook, Stack Attack, Terra, Drifblim, Paldean Tauros, and Kecleon. I forgot to order that part. It's fine. Alright, OCD won't bother me at all. So, I guess you kind of described it best, is that this team looks like a noob drafted it, kind of. Not to
Yeah.
be like mean or anything, but it is
Yeah.
kind of strange looking.
So the reason why I personally don't like this team is, as Wacko just said, it looks a little bit like a noob drafted it. Or I guess a better way to describe that would be someone who like stopped playing Pokemon in like Gen 7 because this team completely loses to Covert Cloak and Rocky Helmet. Like legitimately he can't do anything about it. As well as the removal on this is not the greatest. Like Volcanion and Feeny are both okay in that regard. Like they do not want to slot Defog as much as this team is going to need them to.
Yeah, his removal is very similar to how mine was last season, where I had a lot of options for removal, but none of them wanted to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He basically has a very similar team.
Yeah. To say something nice about the team, though, there are 4 mons on this team that I absolutely love. I love both the Terras. Terra Stack Attack and Terra Volcanion are both great. I really, really like Tapu Fini, and I really like Thundy T. The rest of the team is very underwhelming to me, but I do like those 4 at least.
Mega Beedrill is amazing. So anyway, yeah. And there's also kind of a speed gap between Shaman Sky and Thundy, which honestly could have been patched up if you just changed the T in Thundy to an I and made it uglier looking. But unfortunately, I don't know. I do think Thundy T is better than Thundy I, but I think on this team he would have rather had Thundy I.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Even though I think in general Thundy T is decent. Also, I had this team personally ranked last.
Yeah, I think basically we swapped our our bottom 3 or something.
Yeah.
But it's still like not a bad team. It's gonna put in some work if he plays well. And I think the 2-point Tauros is a really good steal for him.
I agree.
And also, I don't think I've ever seen anyone use like the regular one, so it's kind of cool to see it.
Yep.
Moving on to number 13, we have Didanli, who originally I think I had him a lot higher, but as time moved on, I just moved him down more and more with some of the issues that I've noticed, as he doesn't really have a bulky Terra Pokemon. And moving on to part 2 of my point, his Dark Resist is Cacturne. Or I'm sorry, his Ghost Resist is Cacturne. Although his Dark Resist is also like not very good. His team just defensively is not sound at all. He has some good defensive tools with G King and like bulky Palafin, Vikavolt. Even like Arcanine and Breloom can be kind of fat, or like Goldingo, like his Pokemon can be fat, but it's kind of like a maybe you won't get two-shot type thing, but you're not gonna eat hits very well on the special side,
Mhm.
especially. And Glowking is not gonna want to eat the Shadow Balls from anything. Um, so this team could have really used a normal, in my opinion. Um, he probably should have grabbed like the Porygon instead of Cacturne.
Oh
But
yeah, like oh yeah, full-on base Porygon would have helped a lot on this team. Like it actually works really well as a solo Ghost Resist.
yeah, Porygon does work better as a Ghost Resist than Cacturne, and I think at that point the better Ghost Resist is Glowking.
Exactly.
Cacturne is not going to eat a hit. I'm sorry. I do like the
Yeah.
Mon. I think Terra Cacturne is interesting too, but you're
Mhm.
never going to use it over Enamorus or Sand Slash from the G King, which I think is
Mhm.
interesting to see as well. Because I think with G King, normally I just see like Arc Result slapped on, and the fact that he did Sand Slash instead, I think is fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a good Mon.
Um, so this is another slot that we agree on. I also have Danny 13. I really like the offense. Enamorus, Palafin, Goldango, Arcanine, Sui, Breloom is really solid. But as you have pretty much alluded to for the last 3 minutes, he completely fumbled the bag in regards to having good synergy for bulk. So
Honestly,
he's
if he just
basically,
changed Breloom to Chestnut, I think this team would be a lot better.
yeah, that would
It
probably help.
technically
I
gives
also
him
think
his
he,
special Ghost Resist.
yeah, true. I also think he should probably drop like Noivern and Vikavolt for like a more solid, like maybe if you were to make like Noivern and Vikavolt into like kilowatt, actually, well, he can't pick up Kilo, but like one of the
He could do both.
electric flying types plus like a normal type, I think this team would be better.
Oh, like a
Uh,
Rotom Fang maybe.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
thinking he
like if
could
you
pick
were,
up both of them because if he drops Noivern, then his speed is just garbage.
that's also true. Yeah, he could go like, yeah, I mean, Calcon has Kilowattrel now, but if you were to make like Vikavolt and Noivern into like Kilowattrel and then get a normal type, I think this team would be fine. Uh, but yeah, in general, the offense, like
Drampa.
the top four in Arcanine are amazing. So like that's the reason why this team isn't ranked straight up last. But in general, I do see the
Hmm.
defensive like structure issues.
He could have actually just like not had Sand Slash. I do like Sand Slash on his team, but for the same points he could have had Drampa.
Yeah, yeah. Drampa would have been way better on this team.
Although I mean, like you'd probably still drop Noivern for like a different flying,
Yeah.
but Drampa at least has Defog and is normal.
Honestly, he could go like Swellow instead of Noivern.
Yeah, he could.
Like,
That works as well.
like at the very least, give him a normal type, even though it's not a good one.
I mean, he could do both like Swellow and Drampa.
True.
They don't really share any weakness other than ice. So moving on, we have Chocolate Lab, who, in my biased opinion, would have been last because he has these three Pokemon together. However, it is paired with Terra Zygarde, which I think is one of the best Terras that got drafted. And for
I
once,
agree. Yeah, that's a good one.
Chocolate Lab actually has defense. It's called Wheezing and Empoleon, which they
And
work.
Eel. And
And Eel,
and
yeah.
also and yeah, Eel Kofag is good as well. Those four will carry his defense for the most part.
After seeing Troy use Kofag last season, I've started believing in it a little bit more. But there is a certain point to where I thought, why would anyone ever want Kofag over like Rune or something? But
Mm-hmm.
they put in work. So this team also has 5 removal options plus Magic Bounce, and like this team's removal is still not really that great. It's kind of just Empoleon and Weezing that'll want to do that. And if you're slotting Empoleon and Weezing over like the top 5,
Yeah.
then I don't know. It's not going to be fun to prep with, I think. But there will be
Yeah.
matchups where I think Victini or like Gran or Cart don't want to come. So it might not be as bad to slot Empoleon. But I mean, it could also just not run removal, I suppose. I will say though that Chocolate Lab, I think he took advantage of the sales the best out of anyone. He got a sale on Conk. He got a sale on Empoleon, Staraptor, Kofag, and Eel. Like, he pretty much shaved, like, how many points is that? Like, 16 points?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that would normally be like 136. Like, there's not a single bad Pokemon. It could have just been, like, built together a little bit better with better defensive mons, I think. But it's not a bad team. I think after the bottom, like, 2, all of the teams are, like, they are extremely close.
Oh, yeah. No, I can agree. This team in general is quite good. It's just not as good as the stuff above it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it has Mega Diancie, Victini, and Gren, which hold it back. But everything is good.
Like, I don't even mind that to an extent. Like, the downside of those 3 is that they lose the bulky waters together, but then Victini, Bolt Strike, and Greninja, Grass Knotting, and then you have a full Kartana right there. So those 5 go really, really well together offensively. I do like the added emphasis to bulk that he had, because frankly, in a league like this, you tend to want to have a little bit of bulk to your name. He has 2 really good Scarfers in Victini and Staraptor. This is yet another team that really struggled for some reason with drafting Ghost Resist, because his Ghost Resist are Staraptor and Greninja, which granted will be fine in terms of scarfing and killing said ghost types, but
I think Terra Normal Zygarde is a thing.
That's also a thing as well, because
it's like budget Dragonite in that type of way, and he doesn't have to worry about it switching in with like multi-scale and being safe. Like, he can run sub-lefties because it's so fat.
Yeah. So personally, I had this team 11, while Wack I believe has a 12.
Yes, this is number 12 for me, but I think it's tied with 11 though.
Yeah. So I really like the offense. It probably could use a better setup sweeper next to Zygarde, because basically this team is formatted Zygarde, breaker, 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 wall, breaker, wall, breaker, wall, wall. And like, there's not a whole lot of setup sweeping that it can do outside of that. Like, Diancie can do it sorta, and Battle Bond Bren is a thing, and Sword Stance Kartana is a thing, even though it usually wants to hold a choice item. So I kind of wish there was like a little bit more setup sweeping, but overall the team's good. It's just not quite as good as the rest.
Yeah. But props to using Conkeldurr. I don't think I've seen Conkeldurr get drafted in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. My computer froze slightly. Yeah, they are the same. So this is tied with Chalk's team. This is Ryan's team. We have Mega Medicham, Tinglu, Cinderbad, Terra Gudra, Hisui. Again, he wants Terra fucking Gudra. Basculegion, Crobat, Cleaver, Terra Superior, Heliolisk, and Eternal Floette. Which is, if you're wondering why it looks so bad, it's because it's a 3DS sprite. So...
You want me to talk first again?
Yeah, you can.
So, things I like about this team. I adore the top 2. Mega Medicham and Tinglu are both amazing. And that's where most of the good things stop for me. I think Cinderace is better than a lot of people want to give it credit for, but I see people's complaints with it missing moves. Gudra Hisui is really good, but I also think it's kind of a waste of a Terra. I think I legitimately would have preferred Terra Tinglu. Basque Legion is good, but it's gonna be Basque Legion female more than Ryan probably wants to admit, because Basque Legion is basically just, or Basque Legion male is basically just Wave Crash bot.
Yeah,
Which is
the thing with Basque Legion and his team is that he doesn't have a rain. So the safer
yeah,
set is usually going to be agility with female. Because if you're
usually
agility
yeah.
with male, you're going to get hit and then you're going to wave crash once and die.
Also Crobat's really solid on this team. I like it as a revenge killer and pretty reliable defogger. So that I like as well. Cleaver's gonna cleaver. I hope he finds ways to use it that isn't just Scarf or Ban Stone X pivot. Because like the thing can be pretty good with like Swords Dance, Trailblaze, even some more defensive sets with on the defensive side, because it has okay defensive bulk. Terra Superior is decent, but not really that
I
great.
think Terra Superior is more underrated than people would think because, in my experience using SERP, and I have a lot of experience lately using SERP. Literally drafted it like what 3 or 4 times. Stop stealing my speed tiers. So this thing like has 0 moves, but does have dragon coverage. And being a grass type, being able to hit dragons with like Terra Dragon, Dragon Pulse after a Leaf Storm is going to be very strong. And he also has like the one Pokemon that like eats Superior for breakfast, and that is Gudra.
Yeah.
So I actually really like Superior on this team. Mostly because I do think that Terra Dragon, and well, the issue with SERP is that at +2, you're still not hitting hard, but now I think with Terra Dragon, you can OHKO stuff like Kyurem at +2. Whereas
Honestly,
before, you just get revenge killed by like dragons anyway.
Honestly, I feel like I would rank this team higher if he just made the Basque Legion Terra instead of Gudra.
Terra Basque is interesting, but you lose adaptability on Water and Ghost.
Which is a downside, yes, but you also still get the normal stab boosts and
I think Terra Water like Terra Water Scarf Basque could be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you're basically substituting rain.
And then I think Helios can flow at Eternal are kind of dog water, but that's fine.
Honestly, this team should have been a rain team.
Probably.
He has the tools for rain. Like he has Helio Basque, Hurricane, Crobat, Gudra. Like
honestly, I wouldn't have even.
This could have been rain really easily.
Honestly, I wouldn't have even hated if you were to have made like Flow at Eternal into like a Politoed or something. Like if that was still on the board, I don't think it was.
I would make Cleaver into Pelipper, and then make Floette into like Aromatisse in a 2-point mon.
Yeah.
Like Armaldo.
Oh yeah, that's also.
He could actually just get Armaldo.
Oh yeah, that's also a thing. That the fairy type is Floette. And I don't think
it's Eternal. It's basically just more offensive Florges, but it doesn't have it doesn't have Florges tools like Defog.
Can it run?
And it doesn't get Terra Blast, so you couldn't Terrasilize it really.
A Violet or no?
No, it is basically like it counts as a fully evolved mon, I believe.
Gotcha. If it could run EVO, that thing would be really freaking good, but
yeah, it would be. It's just that it's basically offensive Florges.
Yeah,
it technically has a higher base stat total than like King Gambit. I would hope to God you can't run a Violate. I think they probably could have made it run a Violate, but we would never know because there's no way to get Floette without hacking.
Yeah, fair.
So, yeah, anyways,
speaking of rain.
Yeah, I had Ryan teams at 12. So now we're on to number 11, which is Kalkon, with the Terra Lottie. That is not Terra Kilowattrel.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's Terra Polyrath, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Terra Polyrath. Yeah, so Terraladios, Mega Scissor, Lando, Tangrowth, Klefki, Overquill, Politoed, Kilowattrel, Reunibad, Sizotoad, and Poliwrath. This team again has no normal type, and Overquill has 65 Spidef, so good luck, have fun. You're gonna have a lot of fun with ghost types. Although I don't think the ghost weakness is as bad because Terranormal Latios is apparently a thing, according to Rage.
Also things like Light Screen Klefki exist that can more or less shut down spec into like Scizor.
Yeah, Scissor is at least a fat motherfucker. And so is Politoed actually. So he has the tools to deal with some of the things that he otherwise looks really weak to. And he also has Rain Overquill, which beats a lot of ghosts like Pult and Spectre just because they can outrun them. And overall, I think with Rain, he can just kind of overwhelm anything anyways. I think Poliwrath Terra's gonna be like either it's gonna be like his kill leader or it's going to do nothing. Like I can't figure out what it's gonna do. But my idea is that he's going to like Terra into something and then Billy Drum. And then he's just gonna claim Mons until Poliwrath either dies or the rain runs out.
Oh, true. That thing totally does get belly drum. Damn, why did I tell him to do that?
I told him to do that. You're welcome.
So yeah, this team is offensively amazing. There's not really any complaints that I have when it comes to offensively hitting stuff, and he knows that, and he knows he's gonna have to play it that way. And this team is defensively alright between Tangrowth, Klefki, Politoed, Rhianoclus. The biggest issue, as Waka said, is obviously the ghost weakness, but between Rain Overquill and Terranormal Latios or Poliwrath, both are viable enough if you really need it. And Last Respects isn't allowed in this league, so it's not even that big of an issue. When it comes to issues that I do have with the team, ghost weakness is chief among them. I wish this team had a better case for removing Mega Scizor and Klefki are usually good enough, but I don't know if Klefki always wants to fit Defog, and it kind of pigeonholes Scizor into not being able to do its Swords Dance shenanigans as much as it probably wants to.
No, yeah, Scissor's definitely going to have to be like a defensive pivot on this team, which isn't like a bad thing. Like, you might as well, and because of Rain, you're just making defensive Scizor a lot better. But
of course, yeah.
You are right in terms that it can't really like defog as much, or they can't like Swords Dance as much as you would want it to. Because I think you kind of want it to clean whatever Landorus breaks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or Lottie. But now you're kind of forcing the Rain side to do more with like the Overquill, Poliwrath. I don't know. This is still a good team though. Like, there's not a single bad Mon on it, and because Poliwrath in the Rain I think is good, especially with Terra. Like, he's gonna have matchups where I think all of his Pokemon are like eligible.
Also, I had this team ranked 9th, so I'm pretty high on this team.
Oh, where's he? 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. I have him at 10.
Oh.
So, at number 9, for me at least, we got Troy's team with Mew, Zapdos, Treads, Megalop, Sylveon, Roaring Moon, Roserade, Araquanid, Typh, Hisui, and Regice. This team is weird because I think as you said, like, his top 5 are just a bunch of Mons that should hit harder than they do.
Actually, top 6 because Roaring Moon's there too.
Yeah, but you hate Roaring Moon. Also, I forgot to change those around. Yeah,
well, he's doing that as Waka basically said, like the biggest issue with this team is that he has a bunch of mons that should hit harder but don't. So it's like a lot of things like legitimately, as I was telling Waka before we started this, if you replace Mew with like a overwhelming power mon like Mega Medicham, GN Power, something like that, this team would be quite a bit better. Because it's really just missing that one thing that doesn't care about your walls and just kind of breaks through them anyway. Uh, so there's a lot of things that are just a little bit too bulky or rely too much on like a choice item or setup. Also, my other huge issue with the team is that I wish you chose better Terramons. To be frank, I don't think
Yeah,
Rose Raid
Rose Raid with Terra Blast would have been amazing, but I don't know why it's Rose Raid. I
Yeah,
think
honestly, I
his
almost would
Terra
have.
should have been like Sylveon and Regice
Yeah, Sylveon
or
Regice,
Type.
Sylveon type Isui would have been good as well. Honestly, he could have gone type Isui, Regice, Sylveon for his Terras, and I think that would have been better.
I don't know if he could
Because
do. I don't think he can do all three of them.
honestly, the Terra Fairy Sylveon actually sounds like a pain in the ass to switch into.
It's either that or like
You could go like Terra Treads as
you
well,
go
which is
like
okay.
well Tread's Terra I think is underwhelming as fuck, but Sylveon you do like Terra Ground or
Yep,
like Fire and then oh actually probably Ground because you could Mystical Fire I guess, but you do Ground so that because Fairy Ground is amazing.
true.
I do think like Terra Equine is good though. It's just that Sylveon is better. And he could have done like Typhlosion or Regice. I think something people are gonna underrate on this team is gonna be T-Spike's Rose or Mew into Infernal Parade Typhlosion.
Yeah, true. That is
Because he does basically get free Hex off of that. Well, I think Infernal Parade is just Hex, but better. So that'll be fun to watch, I think. And that was number 9. At number 8, we have
Fletch. Troy number 8.
Huh?
I was saying I had Troy at number 8 for whatever that's worth.
Well, at my number 8, we have Fletch with Iron Valiant, Terra King Gambit, The Thing, The Other Thing, Moltres, Clodsire, Diggersby, Magnezone, Rabombi, Terra Mesprit, and Bramblegast. This team, I think Rage doesn't think that these Terras are like great, but I think Mesprit is an amazing Terra with King Gambit. And Bramblegast I think can put in work too, because Grass Ghost is like not the best typing at all the time, but I think Bramblegast on this team works really well with Valiant actually, because you're forcing flying types to run like physical because special flyings can't hit Bramble like at all.
I mean, Air Slash is a thing, but otherwise, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Air Slash counts as a wind move.
No, it doesn't.
Oh. Well, Air Slash might not kill Valiant. I don't know.
Oh yeah. So you're partially right with what I thought of this. I really like the top 3 as an offensive core. Terra King Gambit is a royal pain in the ass, and I really like the next 3 as the defensive core. My problem is more with everything else. I just don't personally like Diggersby, Magnezone, or B, Mesprit, and Bramble. Like those 5 to me are just a little bit on the underwhelming side, but they're okay for what they are. I had this team ranked a little bit lower than Whack. I have it ranked 10th.
I will say that this team is awkward, but I think Valiant King Gambit is such a good offensive core. Well,
I agree. Yeah.
For
I
how
agree.
people
That's the
think of
best part
Valiant,
of
I
it.
think Valiant's a piece of garbage, but but I think those paired with Rotom Wash, as much as I hate Rotom, but it works well with Moltres and Claude, and even Magnezone can like make up for how bad of an electric Rotom is. And then Magazone can
Yeah,
kind of cover the steel typing for King Gambit.
it's a solid team, I think.
Hmm.
Like, not a great
And
team, but a
also,
solid
like,
team.
webs is something people have to prep for now.
Yeah, true. Even though I don't think Webb's Ribone comes as much as people want to admit.
No, yeah, it's not going to come a lot because Rabambi is definitely the worst Pokemon on this team.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's kind of a liability, but it's an option for Valiant, so you don't have to boost your speed with it. Um, but yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. Just a solid team. We have Bitch at number 7, who I think
Poison.
is actually tied with Fletch. We have Dragapult, Terra, Lando T, Heatran, Quaquaval, Grimmsnarl, Hoopa Unbound, Florges, Weezing, Galv, Mousehold, and Mega Abomasnow. I think this team is really solid. It's just I don't know why there's a Mousehold and a Mega Abomasnow on this team. Like, I
Yeah,
guess he
that's
wanted Veil, but like he can't run Light Clay, and either he has to die to get in other Pokemon, or he's gonna have to find a way to switch out. And this team doesn't really have the best defense. Like, there's a Florges, but Florges kind of dies to like normal Medicham close combat, so it's like really not that great. Although paired with Weezing, I guess it kind of works, and it can like Wish Pass into Weezing. The thing with Florges for me though is that it kind of has to sustain itself more than being able to Wish Pass into others. Like, it's not an Audino. You can't just like Wish and switch. Or like an Aloe. I think actually Audino would have worked better as a normal than Mousehold.
yeah, really true.
But Mousehold is interesting. I'm not actually sure if it was supposed. Oh, it's not Terra Mousehold. It's Terra Galvantula. It's because I reordered shit like a dumbass. Hopefully, I wasn't wrong about these other ones. I think the last teams were correct, but we're just gonna ignore the rest of them.
So I personally had Voids ranked number 6. I think this is a really good team. The speed is probably the biggest issue. I think the reason Marshall is there is because there's only other 110 plus speed mon outside of Pulp. So his team relies heavily on Scarf, Sticky Web, and speed boosting to be able to create offensive pressure. Scarf, Lando, or Heatran, Flame Charge, Heatran, or Aqua Stuff Clay. And then obviously Webs. I think that's probably the biggest problem I have with it. The pivoting is somewhat limited, although obviously Parting Shot, Grimmsnarl, and U-Turn, Lando, and Pult are all amazing. I do think the lack of spikes could be somewhat of an issue for this team, especially on a Pult team. But Sticky Web should make up for that somewhat because it makes things like Pult way harder to revenge. Because you can't run Boots and Scarf on the same set, so that's just going to be kind of a pain he has to deal with.
Pivoting is not good.
I said that its pivoting is kind of limited because it's because there's a lot of
pass with like half his mons.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that prefer not to run pivoting. Like the only 3 things that should be running a pivoting move most weeks, or actually the only 2 things, are Landorus and Grimmsnarl. Otherwise, a lot of other stuff doesn't really want to fit it. But again, it's not bad. The few good pivots that he does have are really damn good. I do kind of agree with you on the Abomasnow. I don't really see the point of it here. I think he would have been better served from like a Loranthus or something, just to get like honestly Terra Loranthus would have looked really good on this team because of Superpower Leaf Storm spam.
Yeah, Terra Loranthus is a good Pokemon actually.
Yeah, so I think I like that more than the Mega Abomasnow, and I hope he didn't just draft a Mega just to have a Mega.
I think he drafted Abomasnow for Veil, and because it was kind of cheap.
I guess.
So at number, I think 6, we have Hysterically, or however you say it, Heister. I think you like this team a lot less than I like it. I don't really like this team that much, but it does have a lot of good tools. This, I think, has the best utility out of anyone. Literally every Pokemon on this team has a utility set, except like Bundle kind of. But even Bundle has like sub Encore type shit. But like Hydreigon can defog and Roost and be fat as fuck, especially with Terra. Bundle can Encore. Tusk gets Spin, Scissor can defog and knock off, Arcanine can Wisp and Roar and Intimidate. Raikou can like Toxic Sub. Blissey is a Blissey. Serena can Spin. Comfey can Heal Bell. U-turn. Quillfish gets Spikes. Swirlix gets Webs. Like he has like literally anything utility-wise that any team would want. And he still doesn't even have like he doesn't have a flying type technically, which is amazing. Because he is technically lacking removal, but in my experience, Terra Flying Hydreigon's fun. So I hope he uses
So I think his removal is actually probably the best in the league.
It is technically the best, yeah. Actually, yeah, it is just the best. I was gonna say technically because I was looking and I was like, none of these mons really want to like do that, but like they. I mean,
Great Tusk runs Rapid.
They kind of do.
I mean, Great Tusk runs Rapid Spin practically every week. Serena can run Rapid Spin practically every week. Comfey is an okay defogger on pivot sets. Same thing with Scizor, and then defog Hydra can come if it absolutely has to. So.
Sometimes Hydra's like it wants to run like 8 different moves, and then there's some weeks where like all it needs is 2 offensive moves and then like Roost defog. Like it's, I don't know, there's something strange about it. I do wish this team had like a Psychic type. I know Psychic isn't really like the best type to have, but it forces Darks to come, and I think having a Dark being forced to come versus Great Tusk and Scissor would have been nice. Well, not like every Psychic forces a Dark, but like you could easily lose to like fucking stored power type shit without a Dark. Do you have anything to say?
I mean, I didn't really get to talk on the team at all. So I personally have Heister's team ranked number 7. I say that more so because a lot of the offense on this team is a defined counter. Outside of Terra Hydra, that thing's just really good. But Iron Bundle loses to like Spadef Walls with AV and also missing Hydro Pumps. Tusk hates flying types. Scissor hates fire types. Arcanine just flat out doesn't hit hard enough. Same thing with Raikou. Blissey, I find, tends to be a liability versus people who know what they're doing. Serena is okay, but doesn't come to as many games as people want to think. Comfey either 6-0s people or does absolutely nothing. There isn't really an in-between.
I'm sorry, honey, it's just you. I think the underrated thing about this team is going to be the Terra Quillfish. Like,
yeah, Quillfish
he should Terra Hydra every week, but
yeah, Terra
Heister is a fun person, so I have faith that he's gonna like Terra Poison, Banded Gunk Shot someone, and the thing is just gonna drop, and I can't wait to see that happen.
Yeah.
I want Quillfish to do work. Jaden would be proud.
I believe me and you have the same top 5, right?
We have the same top 5, but they're in a vastly different orders.
Yeah.
So at number 5, I have Odie. Originally, I had this team at like number 1, but then the more I looked, I was like, this team has some issues. I think Shedtail is overrated as fuck. And I also realized that Torkoal and Orthworm are like the only defensive Pokemon on this team. Especially because Mantine is a little bit underwhelming as a water type usually. It doesn't hit hard. Water flying, like you get fucked by like random Pokemon with Charge Beam. And like there's a lot more Pokemon that you think that get moves like Charge Beam. Not that they would probably run it, but they could pretty easily.
There's also quite a few things that get things like Thunder Fang and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just like stuff like that is gonna be an issue for like Mantine as like a fat mon. Sandy Shocks I guess can be like kind of defensive, but it's not great. And I've seen defensive Lele for some reason do like a lot of work because people prep for like choice specs and then it's just like a taunt Nature's Madness. And I guess Terra Gothitelle works. The one thing about this team, originally why I had it at number 1 is because of Shedtail into Terra Goth. It wasn't even because of like Chiyu Sneasler, because that shit's obvious as fuck. But like Shedtailing into Goth works really well. Even like the Orthworm, I'm like getting off of the point of Shedtail, because I kind of just noticed that Chiyu and Sneasler are like pretty easy to counter with like a fast ground type move. If you can somehow outspeed Sneasler, I guess you'd have to Scarf. Orthworm can just come in on all the ground types. And this team in general does not like ground. So I like the addition of Orthworm.
Yeah.
It's just that you kind of have to bring Orthworm or else that the ground spam will just kind of happen.
Yeah, I agree. So I personally have this team number 2. I do agree with what you said that there's a lot of defensive liabilities here, but I think if Odie is able to play this super offensively, it'll be one of the best teams in the division because frankly there are things that are just impossible to prep for here. Chiyu in the sun, Terrain Sneasler is a pain in the ass, especially when you have a Gothitelle trapping the poison types. Lele is really, really good to get terrain up and only doesn't beat steel types, and the top 2 is Sneasler, Chiyu. Torko is a good sunsetter and also I believe the best remover on this team. Orthworm is fine and a decent backup Shedtail user if you don't want to bring Sequoizer. Sandy Shocks is solid but does end up looking pretty awkward on this team because of the lack of good ground checks. Mantine has all the problems you already listed. I'm not going to regurgitate the same stuff. He does have one of my favorite low-tier Terras on this team with Sceptile. I feel like Unburden in the terrain with Terra is just going to be super fun. And then getting 1 point back from Mega Bayonet, I think was a funny mechanic.
It's actually... I want to kind of keep that around, but I don't know if I'm going to make it -1 points or if I'm just going to make it free.
Yeah.
And the funny thing out of the whole thing is that he had 1 point remaining anyways. So he could have just like not drafted Mega Bayonet.
I do think it's actually pretty solid on this team though, because this team actually I just realized you drafted a prankster mono-psychic terrain. But oh well.
Yeah. But I mean like offensively, like you can trailblaze with it, I guess. And it can be fast.
Offensively, this team is absolutely sick. Like this team is
things.
Yeah, this team is offensively amazing. So like that's why it's ranked number 2 for me. It's just incredibly annoying to deal with.
Its defenses are kind of bad. It does have really good utility though. And offense.
Yeah, I can agree with your rankings there for the most part. I would probably put it at like a 7 defensively, but 10 out of 10 for utility and offense for 100%.
I think if I put him at 7 out of 10 for defense, this would be number 1 still. But I don't know, there's something about Shedtail where because Cyclozar is way more than it should be, like you are kind of using, I don't know, it's kind of just like you're spending a lot of points on a mon that isn't really that great on its own. It's really just Shedtail with Cyclozar. But it's a good Shedtail mon, like it's whole gimmick, I guess. But anyway, we're gonna move on to number 4, which originally I think I had this like way lower, but I couldn't justify it putting it too low because I did realize that it has a lot more synergy than I thought, and the issues that I have with it aren't as glaring as like about half of the other teams that we covered, where either they don't have removal or they don't have a ghost resist. You just have no removal. You have the worst removal in the league. But
Do I?
yeah, you do. But you do have Clefable Melmetal, which is super annoying. You have Mega Latios, which is probably like if you want to run removal, your Lati or your Rotom have to do that. And
Yep.
those are also your only special attackers outside of Life Orb, Nidoqueen, and Clefable. Which I think Nidoqueen is still strong, but I don't know. There's been like a bit of defensive power creep, I think, where it's not as hard to prep for Nidoqueen now.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
I do disagree with your comment on my team a little bit with the special attackers, just because you are heavily underrating Nidoqueen and Clefable. But in general, I do agree that my removal is pretty bad. If Caracosta doesn't end up coming to any games, I may end up having to get a third remover that way.
It's more just that like Nidoqueen and Clefable have to run specific items to be offensive. I think without
Yeah.
Life Orb, Nidoqueen just doesn't really hit hard.
It
In my
depends on the
experience.
matchup. It
Depends on the
matchup,
matchup. You are right though.
but overall, I think this team has.
It's
I
more
kind of
just
just
that the
drafted a.
physical offense is a lot scarier
Yeah,
between
yeah. The
Tauros,
physical
Rilla,
offense is.
Weavile, Melm.
Yeah, the physical offense is kind of ridiculous, and also I think I unintentionally drafted probably the best like synergistic team of the entire league. Like I don't think there's a single like major weakness.
Oh yeah,
Like
I love Rillaboom Nidoqueen together. I love Clef Melm together.
yeah,
There's something else. I don't know. But those two, I don't
that's
know.
the thing.
Usually in Gen 8, you would have not been able to get both Melm, Clef, and Rillaboom Nidoqueen. Like those would have just been like two separate cores on different teams. But I like that
Yeah,
you have them together.
yeah. So like I think the team's like gonna be like it's a good ball of clay for me to make random stuff happen with. It's not gonna just straight up sweep people on its own. Also, I think this is a
Oh,
really good
that's what I
rival.
like. I like Weavile Nidoqueen together too.
Yeah, this is a really good Rivalbloom team because I have three very good flying checks as well. So I
Hmm.
think that's gonna be fun.
The only thing I could see being off with Rilla is gonna be those times that you do want to Terra. I think it runs Earthquake. I could be wrong. It probably still gets Earth Power if you want to do like special Shell Smash. But it's like that Tauros and like Melmetal, even Latios with DD sets like running Earthquake. Miltank also likes to run Earthquake quite a bit, but it's not. I don't know. It's not that bad. Rillaboom is just kind of a support mon
Also
for
Miltank,
this.
Miltank, and I believe
Tauros gets
Tauros
like
both get high horsepower, so it's not the worst
high
issue.
horsepower stomping tantrum. I don't think Tauros Polio gets high horsepower. I could be wrong. It probably does and it should. But yeah, I don't know. Not being able to run Earthquake sometimes is annoying.
Yeah, it's
Especially if you're
definitely
trying
not
to like
ideal.
DD with Latios. But
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, like,
So
if you're doing terrain, you have anti-synergy somewhere.
Tauros gets drill run. Caracosta doesn't get anything. And Melmetal gets high horsepower. So
Oh,
that's mostly
Melmetal
fine.
gets high horsepower. Gotcha.
So yeah, that's mostly fine.
I forgot. I don't know why the fuck it has high horsepower.
I have no idea either, but it's helpful in this case.
Yeah, it works. So at number 3, we have my team, which I think you had at number 1, didn't you?
I do have it at number 1, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea why, but we got Terrabax Caliber, Mega Mawile, Necrozma, Meowscarada, Thundy, Porygon 2, Blastoise, Tauros 420, My Balls, Muck, and the Cream. My team also has really bad removal. It's just Thundy and Blastoise, but it does function a lot better than a lot of other teams' removal, at least.
Mhm.
It's also the third team with a Howdy and Tauros, which is nice to see. I love those mons like a lot. Um, Unfortunately, it has Mega Mawile, so that's why I had it low, because Mega Mawile sucks. I hope it proves me wrong though. And
So, go
but
ahead.
to be more serious, I think Porygon 2 has to carry my ass. It's gonna have to be like defensive pivot every week. It has to, if I want to use Mega Mawile to like its fullest potential, it has to run Trick Room. I mean, I could also do that with like Necrozma, but Necrozma, if I also want to do shit with that, I have to run like screens, because it's my
I
only full
don't.
screens.
I don't think Mawile needs Trick Room for the most part. It's definitely good with it, but I don't think it needs Trick Room for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not trying to predict Sucker Punch mind games though.
Yeah.
That's just a me thing though, but people are gonna have to prep for it, I guess.
So this is going to be a really interesting thought experiment because this team is objectively amazing. Like there isn't really any major things that I can like gripe with. The biggest thing is probably the removal, but in general, this team is awesome. What Waka said is true. The team really needs Teleport Porygon to be able to do exactly what it wants. I guess Flip Turn Blastoise kind of plays that role as well, but in general, this team is just going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. The top five specifically is just about the best offensive core I've ever seen drafted, to be frank. And then the rest, like, there's nothing on this team that you just can say, oh, I don't have to prep for this at all. Like even like Blastoise gets Shell Smash. Paldea Blaze can be one of the most annoying defensive fighting types, as well as having Trailblaze bulk up. Muck is just about the best 2-pointer in the entire format, and Alcremie for 1 point is fine. So it's like every single mod on this team is good in one way or another, and can also be a significant offensive threat. So it's basically just going to come down to how Waka can set up sweepers and how he is able to abuse the ridiculous power of most of his mons. I also really like Baxcalibur's ability with his team because one thing Mega Mawile hates is getting burned, and
Oh yeah,
Baxcalibur
that's
is just gonna
actually
help a lot
something
with that.
that I just noticed.
So that's gonna help a lot, and I think that actually is one of the reasons why Mawile and Bax go so well together.
And it's already an ice type, so it fucks up the grounds for it as well.
That as well, and also it gets access to, and also because of thermal body exchange, it kind of dissuades fire moves, so it works really really well with Mega Mawile. And then also I feel like every single mod on this team, with the exception of probably Mudsdale, can sweep if it has to. So that's just nice.
Mudsteel at least has like the Iron Defense body press type shit that you have to worry about. When I've
Yeah,
faced a couple of the Mudsdales that I've faced, which isn't a lot because I don't think that mon gets drafted like that much. It is kind of worrying about like stamina and Iron Defense because I think physical offense in this gen is just a lot more common than special.
it is, yeah,
So
and I
Mudsteel
do.
gains just a lot of value from like the fear factor of not being able to break through it at some point.
Yeah, because of stamina, I agree with you. That's definitely a concern for most people.
And I think Muck and Alcremie get like acid armor and iron defense or something. So even if they don't
Also,
have the
Muck
best
has
defensive stats, like they can set up really easily. But I'm not
also
going to
Muck
go too
has
much
a
into Alcremie because I want to get an Alcremie sweep this season.
also Muck has a also Muck has a really viable curse set as well because of Poison Touch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, I don't really like my team that much because of the Mons, and I think I'd rather have the other Thundy over Incarnate. But I am kind of realizing, looking at some of the other teams, how useful Prankster is for them. Talking about this team.
I do think your team's very, very, very good. So you'll have a lot of fun with it, I think.
Hopefully. At number 2, which was my second number 1.
I had it third.
Is this tied with me? Actually, I guess these two teams are tied. So we have Terra Moth. Oh, this is Yuno's team. We have Terra Moth, Urshifu, bad. Tapu, bad. Aegislash, Gliscor, Slowking, Licky Licky, Dragalge, Tangela, Mega Glalie, and Diglett. 1 point Mega Glalie is really good. No one has used this in Gen 9 yet, and I will say that Mega Glalie has some tools that people should probably prep for. And it's not just fucking refrigerate type bullshit.
It got a lot better.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it because I want Yuno to use Mega Glalie more than anything else on this team. So
this is one of the very few teams in this entire division that I genuinely have a really hard time thinking of a weakness. Like what we both talked about before this is there is quite a severe knockoff weakness because nothing really wants to lose its item, but that's kind of it. There's a bit of a ground weakness between the two poison types in Tapu Koko and Aegislash, but then you got a Gliscor and Slowking.
Yeah, and then you switch into Gliscor and Slowking, which cover both special and physical grounds.
So it's like this team's just really good, and it's even better than Yuno's team last season because that team had a ton of problems just so it was super top heavy. Like this is genuinely probably the most complete team in the league. I don't think it's as offensively threatening as yours or Odie, which is why I didn't put it above it. But this is definitely like a very, very solid, just complete roster that is going to be a pain in the ass to prep for, and he can do so much stuff with it. The Mega Glalie is going to be really fun. The 1 point Terra Diglett is going to win him some things that he doesn't expect. And Terra Iron Moth, much to Waka's chagrin, is actually really good, especially in terrain.
Pteranodon's Purse is better.
Yeah, that's just one Waka's not going to change his opinion on, but overall it's a really, really, really good team.
Oh yeah, Ironmouth is it looks like Volcarona, so I don't like it. Automatically. It's a 0 out of 10 design, and Slazzle is better. So yeah, I do think this team is amazing. I'm glad that he used some of the sales as well, notably Dragalge and Mega Glalie. I just wanted to see someone use Mega Glalie, and it's also why Mega Banette is -1 points, is because even if Banette was free, no one would draft it because you would rather have Glalie. At least I think. I think Glalie, I don't know, that mon's super strong. It's gonna do something, I hope.
It should.
But yeah, anyways, moving on to number 1, which actually kind of surprised me. It's Chick's team, who also has, I think, really bad removal. It's kind of just Torn and Rotom. But he has really fucking good Pokemon. As much as I don't like Primarina or Qianpao, he has those with Torn, Celesteela, Chomp, Infernape, Uxie is a defensive pivot, Roselia being able to spikes. Porygon is actually really fucking good for no reason. Terra Porygon.
I think I've shown that in spades. I think I've shown how good Baby Porygon is in spades.
Baby Porygon, if you guys don't know, Baby Porygon beat the shit out of Terra Normal Dragonite.
Terra Ghost Dragonite, and it also 1v1 to Solgaleo in a Uber's League, so that thing is genuinely awesome.
But the Dragonite was at +3, and the Porygon was just I'll take 20%. Even if it was multi-scale, this baby piece of shit should not take 40% from a +3 extreme speed.
So good, man. So fun.
That's so stupid. But yeah.
Um,
Terracell Steel is, I think, really underrated. I think he's gonna do like the acrobatics flying gen autonomized set. I want to see that happen. Or even like choice band Terra Steel Heavy Slam is really solid. Cell Steel, honestly, being able to get rid of one of its typings is just a good thing for it. Like Steel Flying is a really good typing, don't get me wrong. But there are matchups that I've had using Celesteela, in Gen 8 at least, where I wish that I could remove one of its typings, and now that I can, I think it's really solid. Plus it gets a damage boost. And he can do like Terra Flying Acro. He could even do like fucking Acro Torn without having to like eject pack out with superpower. He can just click bulk up and then click Acro and then like something dies.
So, personally, I have this team ranked a little lower, and I will tell you why. I have it ranked number 5. The only reason I have it ranked that low is because it's kind of like falling into the trap of hyper offense without good pivoting. Like Torn is like the quintessential pivot, and Infernape can do it, and Primarina can do it, but it's like you don't necessarily want to run it on those mons. And I also do feel like this team is going to rely heavily on keeping momentum because Celesteela does not want to be running defensive sets when it's the Terra. It wants to be doing all the stuff that you said, as well as Yuxi is going to have a lot of pressure on it to kind of just sit there and take stuff, and you turn into one of the.
It's just the thing is like even if his team looks offensive normally, he has amazing defensive options. Honestly,
I
think
yeah.
the defensive Prim is fine. Garchomp is a really fucking good defensive Pokemon. Torn can eat Chi-Yu like all day long because of regen Assault Vest.
All of them are really good in their own right. Yeah.
Is there Roselia's fat? Porygon's fat.
Yeah. No, like honestly, Porygon might legitimately be the second best defensive pivot on this team.
I mean, yeah, because Primarina's ass, but I think it's going to be really obnoxious to try prepping for this.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Although it's going to be really funny to watch because I don't think Chickadee is going to take this league too seriously. And he's just going to bring like random bullshit, and he might win because of it, because someone's going to expect like the obvious sets, and he just doesn't do that. I do think that this is a weird looking team to put at number 1. I think a team like Yuno's or even like mine make more sense putting it at number 1, but in general, I think Chickadee's team is, I don't know. There's something about it that looks better and like more like balanced, but
I do kind of want to say, and I think you'll agree with me, that basically every team was good in some ways, but it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear that Chick's, yours, mine, Odie, and Yuno's team were the 5 best teams. Like it just seemed like those had a slight edge against everything else for the most part.
Because I think like in certain ways you could see any of these top 5 as being the best team.
Yeah. So like I feel like 1 through 5 is kind of splitting hairs a little bit. I do.
And they are really close. I think I was looking at Heister's team. Like he's only like if you add up all the points from offense, defense, utility. I will release this doc, by the way. He's only like 1.5 points behind where I have Chickadee.
If I remember correctly, I think me and Odie are both 25.5, and then Yuno's 26. And you're 26.
No, me and you. Actually, no, you're the only 25.5. Odie is 25. I'm 26, and then me and Yuno are tied. Is how I have it.
Yeah,
but to be fair, I threw this together in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it took longer to actually put the teams on the dock. I think I might have rated some teams a little too harshly. Probably this team. This probably
That team
should,
is
this team probably should not be last in
that team
PRs.
has super good pieces. It just does not go well together. Like he needs to make 2 or 3 FA trades, and that team will shoot up to like number 7.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think a team with Zardex, Ursaluna, and Annihilate like should not really be so low. But yeah,
Also,
it's just kind of
Samurott
how
and Heather
it
and
works.
Sylvie.
Like this team isn't super far behind number 1 at all.
Yeah.
Everyone drafted amazing this season. Whereas I think
No.
last season it was really clear that there were some really bad teams and then like really good teams.
Yeah, there were like 3 teams last season that pretty much everybody knew in one way or another. Like, yeah, you bring this, this, and this, and you just win.
But if it's any consolation, I'm gonna show this if it wants to load. Is it showing the whole thing? Kind of. It's cutting off the edge, and I don't feel like moving my screen too much. But actually, I'll just move it. Fuck it. This team got number 16 in PRs in season 3, and they won the league. So that's just showing that you could do anything.
Yeah. No, and also ultimately if a team works for you, that's gonna be more important because me and Waka might have a very different play style than whoever team we rated lowly. So in general, just try to make your team work as best as you can for you because ultimately you're the one who has to play with it, not us.
Yep, I think the more important thing is to just have fun. Because even if you think you have like a good team, sometimes trying to build with them is not fun, and you might lose because of it.
Agreed.
But that's all I will have to say on the matter. I don't know what I'm looking at now. My docs like are loading really slowly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 1.5 hour long rant. However, I'm starting to lose my voice. And I need my voice to go to work tomorrow. Yay! So yeah, thank you for watching. Get mad that you're not last. I don't think people actually want to be first in PRs. Most people want to be last. So get mad, chickadee.
Feel free to ping Waka if you're mad about your placement.
Feel free to not ask me for help as well. Please don't ask me for help. I am busy. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.